Welcome to Color and Vision, Portraits in Art. I'm Julia Batchelor. I'm excited to be bringing this series to you where we are profiling talented artists working in a variety of visual mediums. Each artist's work as unique as their own. On today's program, we introduce you to two artists who are not only the best of friends, but often collaborators on many artistic endeavors. Both Judy Sherman and Eva Folks combined humor and wit with a deft hand at painting to create whimsical, fun pieces of work. But before we meet them, I would like to introduce to you our first artist. David Ruben Piqtoukun is an Inuit artist originally hailing from Piqtoukun, Northwest Territories. And it was there that he first honed his talent as a sculptor. And today, David's incredible sculptures can be found in national galleries and prominent public spaces in various corners of the globe. His work explores both traditional Inuit art forms as well as the abstract, utilizing various materials including stone, steel, rock, and even bone. And the results? Beautiful.
When I was 18 years old, I basically unemployed. I got fired from every job that I ever had. Maybe I'm stubborn or don't like working with people, and I had an opportunity to watch my brother, Abraham. He was studying sculpture in Alaska for a few years, and one day he told me, "Here, try this out." And once I started, I just fell into something that I've been enjoying. I come up with a concept. First I study the stone. I move it a lot, and suddenly there's something there. But what's really helped me was I collect a lot of stories from my people, from the Inuit people, and I document them in my little brain. And I hear maybe some thought comes through or some image from an old story. So I utilize mythology in my material. It really helps. Otherwise, like when you look at rock, most people say it looks just like a rock. But to me, it's kind of gifted to look deeper into the material and see things that other people may not initially see. It's all part of learning how to sculpt. You got to have a lot of determination. You got to be stubborn like the stone, and every now and then I find a rock that's more stubborn than I am, but so you have to exercise more patience, and you have to let the material know that you're the conductor. But for most people, the rock is the conductor. It kind of determines whether or not to be approached, and I've developed a technique where I can penetrate the material in a bit of a unique manner. Most people, they tap into the stone. Nope, not for me, that type of attitude. But for me, I know how to approach the material. It's like patting a wild dog on the head. Okay, conduct yourself, behave yourself. And from there, I penetrate the material, and there's no resistance. So the material loses its resistance, and I can work into the material and draw out whatever image I have in my little brain. Material, it's a crystal alabaster. I have one sculpture which I started, and I love that material because it has all the qualities of ice. looks like ice, feels like ice, shines like ice. The only difference, it doesn't melt. That's the only difference. But material is like working with magic once you learn how to use it proper. The only material where you can't use a hammer and chisel, because the material is structured so that it doesn't take that type of abuse. Boom, boom, boom. So you have to preconceive your idea. Then with grinding tools, or with me, hand tools, it's a lot of sawing. You have to shape it out that way. Go from the outside and penetrate the material. And the raw finish is like just out of this world. Someone asked me something about coexistence. First I thought animals coexisting with our society, then I broke it down, and it kept coming back to people. And with the metal 8-foot high triangle, it was initially painted red. It needs a new coat, but it's symbolic of the native Indians, the white for the white man kabluna, and the round shape for the Inuit people. And the whole concept was how people can coexist. At one time we didn't, but we're always, our arms were always, especially the Eskimos and Inuit, we didn't get along well. Then they introduced the white man, and we all didn't get along really well, and I'm sure we still continue to arm wrestle every now and then, but now we have an opportunity through education and tolerance, we have an opportunity to coexist like we coexist with the animals. Living here in Georgina, we have a lot of wind. We've had some days where it's so windy that the trees literally bend right over. So I have a sculpture called Perpetual Motion, which it's always in motion, and I like the nature of that metal because it bends. Stone is more difficult to bend, but I can bend stone. That's my claim to fame. Art means, to me personally, it's a reflection of my freedom, mental, of the creative spirit. That's where I get my work out. When I first started, I had no clue what I was doing or who I was. I had no identity. It helped me create an identity for myself. And if you look, if I walked into a room, different artists, anyone can walk in and okay, geez, I think that's a Ruben. It looks like a Ruben, feels like a Ruben, smells like a Ruben. It must be a Ruben. So you've created an identity. That's what art means to me.
Hello and welcome back. Our next artist is proof that inherent talent can be developed and refined through self-exploration alone. Eva Folks paints and draws like an artist with years of classical training, but in large part is self-taught. It's that non-conventional approach to art that I believe forms the aesthetic of Eva's work. Her use of shape, and particularly color, create a distinct palette that clearly identify a piece as an Eva Folks original.
How does painting make me feel? It makes me think of nothing else. When I'm painting and I'm in that zone, I'm just painting. Usually I'm painting late at night because my husband's on an afternoon shift these days, and I don't start painting usually till 8 o'clock at night, and then I paint till maybe midnight or 1 o'clock. So it's nice because it's quiet and it's a more relaxing feeling environment to work in as well. So it feels good to just get all the ideas out and get the paint out and just smoosh it all around and think of different color combinations, because that's something that I like to do too. A lot of different color combinations. What inspired me to pick up a paintbrush was my friend, fellow artist Judy Sherman. We've done a lot of murals in the past, and one day I was pretty stressed out about things not moving along. And she said, well, why don't you start painting? Put those ideas on canvas. And that's when I started to do that. And since then, I've done a lot of buildings and a lot of crazy characters with cars. And I'm having a great time doing it. My process over the years has pretty much been the same. I always like to start with the sketch, and then I grit it up and put the sketch onto a canvas, just blow it up. And as I'm painting it, it evolves. The sketch is never exactly the same as what the finished painting is. I like acrylics because they dry quickly. I know some artists like paint to dry a little bit slower, but I like to work a little bit faster, and I think that's why I chose acrylics. And the colors are so vibrant, they're wonderful. I've always had this particular style where I like a lot of colors, and I like vibrancy, and I like a lot of fun. I want people to smile when they see my paintings, not get all confused and not feel good. I want them to feel good, and I want them to laugh, and I think that's part of it as well. What inspires me? Yeah, I've always been inspired by animation, cartoons. I guess that's where a lot of the bright colors come from. Bugs Bunny was big when I was growing up. There was always lots of Bugs Bunny. So I'm also inspired by people and the things that they do and the things that they say. I've always loved cars, and I wish I had like a garage full of cars, but I don't think I'm gonna have that, but you never know, you never know. I've always really liked cars. I particularly like the older 50s cars and 60s because they have chrome and they have so many things that you can embellish on them, and they're so big, and I just really like that. I do like architecture. I like different things about it. What I like is styling my own buildings, not taking any specific building. The only one so far that I've painted any specific area is Cattle Drive. And Cattle Drive has a Cadillac in it and a bunch of cows out in Miami, in South Beach, right on Ocean Drive. And I actually took some of those buildings and stylized them to my own, but if you look at it, then you can see that there's this place or that place, so it's totally identifiable, which is one of the first times that I've done that. All my building paintings are very busy and wonky, and everything really in the world kind of teeter-totters, and you never really know which way things are going to go from one day to the next. Paintings like Cattle Drive and another one I have called Chicken Coop. The girls, they're chickens and they're out there with their jewelry and all their fashionable stuff. So I guess I'm making a commentary with that about really commercialism and how much people are focused sometimes on how they look and appearance and the brand names and stuff that, you know, it doesn't really have to be like that, poking a little fun at it. People are really getting lost in technology these days, and they need more of a creative outlet, and I think people are happier when they're being creative. So that's one of the reasons that I think art is really important in people's lives. Alright, so that is a dead color phase. Leave it at that for now. I want to create art because I want to make people happy, and I want to make them think a little bit differently and not just look at, you know, a flower, a landscape. Flowers and landscapes are awesome, but I want to give them something else to think about and look at and to smile and laugh and something to remember and something to discuss later on. That they saw, you know, a wacky chicken driving a car. That's something you don't see every day.
Break, we met painter Eva Folks. And for any of you who are familiar with Eva, chances are you may also know this next artist, Judy Sherman. Both Judy and Eva share a similarity in their work wherein both contain a sense of humor combined with wry social commentary. But unlike Eva, Judy is a classically trained artist who studied here, as well as in Italy under the tutelage of master artist Michael John Angel. And it's that combination of old world technique combined with pop culture references that makes Judy's work so remarkable.
I started creating art when I was probably, if I can remember all the way back to maybe when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old. Michelangelo inspired me to become an artist. I remember in grade 3 drawing the picture of his statue of David and putting a fig leaf on the David before I took it to school. I drew it on so he wasn't completely naked. My inspirations, as I said, was Michelangelo because I loved the old traditional style of painting and drawing, and I also loved cartoons. I thought cartoons when I was a kid were more real than people. You know, carpets could talk, trees could emote. And so as I got older, I trained more in traditional art. And then I thought, but I really, really miss the pop culture, the cartoons and all that. How can I put the two together? And so I decided to put the two together in paintings. I chose oil as my medium because I like the vibrancy of color. I like the open time. It stays wet a lot longer and I can work wet into it. My art has to tell a story. It has to have a message behind it. So by painting traditionally, using pop culture items and putting a little twist on everything, I can say something in a gentle way about what's going on in the world today without shoving it down somebody's throat. What inspires me? It could be anything. It could be a toy that I see. It could be an idea that comes up because of something I've been talking to somebody about in regards to the environment or political issues. The other day, I heard in the morning, first thing in the morning, a bunch of geese were on the roofs of all the houses here. And I was thinking, oh my, where's their home? So I'm thinking, how can I turn that into a painting about how things have changed in our communities now with all this building and development and the loss of land. My process actually starts, believe it or not, in the shower. I stand in the shower and the water runs down my head and I get ideas all the time. Sometimes I'll take 2 or 3 showers a day. I'm very clean. But I think about the toys or I think about the ideas that I want and I take the toys out of my cabinet or wherever they are in the house, and I start setting them up, and I've got a picture somewhat set up in my head before I set anything up. So I go and I get everything that I need, and then I start to set everything up because I work from life. So I set it all up, and then what I do is I take my lights and I start lighting it in different ways and figure out what's the best way to create the mood through the light and the setup. I also teach. I teach traditional methods, but I teach people basically how to see, how to create a design and paint what they want to paint. I don't want people to paint what I paint. I want people to be who they are and be the artist that they want to be. So that's what I teach them. And the basic techniques of how to see and how to put paint down, and as I was saying, that kind of thing. I've also started a group, me and a friend have started a group called Local Color Aurora. And we now have about 17 artists. And again, it's about supporting artists in the region. Art is my full-time profession. I've been moving towards that. I love it. I love it with a passion. And yeah, I just want to do it all the time. I could paint all the time. I could go to every museum. I could go buy paintings everywhere. Every show I go to, I want to buy another painting. It makes me feel happy. There's a sense of someone's going to look at this and smile, or a conversation is going to come from my painting. You know, I think about how the piece will be hanging on a wall and how people will gather around it and talk about the story behind it and what it means to them. Not just what it means to me, but what it means to them. Art, I think it's good for the soul. I think it's something that is really, really important in life. And even though we have technology and we have everything else, art is good for the soul. I think we need it. I think it creates an atmosphere in an environment that is really, really important in today's world.
Yes.
You know, I never thought of this, but somebody said to me, we were talking, in general, a bunch of artists were talking, and paintings are like a diary. They're a visual diary of your life. So if you look at artists from the past, you know what they were going through and the people that were in their lives. So this is, yes, a visual diary of my life and my beliefs and what I think about the world and what I think about people and just everything.
Oscar Wilde said, "Art is the only serious thing in the world, and the artist is the only person who is never serious." For a piece of art can achieve many things, for both the artist and the viewer. Give shape to one's identity, to impart meaning both intended and perceived, and rudimentarily bring something aesthetically pleasing into the world for all of us to enjoy. I hope you have enjoyed watching today's program and have been inspired by the three artists, David, Ruben, Piqtoukun, Eva Folks, and Judy Sherman. If you're interested in connecting with, purchasing, or perhaps in the case of Judy, signing up for art lessons, please visit our website for additional information. Thank you for watching Color and Vision, Portraits in Art. I'm Julia Batchelor. Goodbye for now.